Hello everyone and welcome to A Fictional Escapist. Today's video is my February wrap up. I read 7 books in February and we're going to have a chat about them now. So the first book that I read was The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 3 in Mistborn Era 1 and quite honestly it was the weakest entry for me personally in this series. Hold that one up nice and close so you can see it. We're following Vin and Elend as they race against time to try and figure out this power that's been unleashed and put a stop to it and all the destruction that is happening around them. I felt like this one was a little bit long for what it was. I think if it had been cut down by about 200 pages, it would have been a better story for me personally. I know a lot of people like Sanderson's writing and it's a little bit lighter, it's a little bit fluffier, regardless of the content that's in the book, but I think I just had a few issues with the pacing. It was a bit too drawn out for me personally. What I found with this entire series as well is that I was way more interested in the side characters like Sazed, the Kandra as a whole species, rather than these two protagonists that we should have been following. So I didn't hate it. I think I rated it at 3.5, which is still a good rating. I just think for what I was expecting versus, what I got, I was a little bit disappointed in the book. That's not to say it was a bad read. I enjoy Sanderson's writing style, but it just could have been a little bit better. I'm looking forward to Era 2. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but I have heard that it may be more in line with my reading tastes. You can let me know down below if you think that if I didn't like Era 1 as much as I thought I would, maybe Era 2 is more up to speed. I think with The Hero of Ages, the payoff is there. So I hear a lot about Sanderson doing a lot of work, a lot of build-up for a payoff, and I do believe that payoff was there, which is why it boosted my rating to that 3.5, even though it was a little bit long in the tooth for me personally. But yeah, we'll see how Era 2 goes. The next book that I picked up, and I listened to this one, was Jade City by Fonda Lee. Now, I went into this one not knowing too much, except that it was Godfather-esque fantasy. You got mafia, you've got a couple of fighting clans, and it was pretty much true to its word. I really enjoyed the world of Jade City. You've got the dangerous streets, these urban streets crawling with green bones who can use the magic of Jade to enhance the 6 disciplines and their abilities. It felt very mafia-esque, it felt very Godfather, and I really liked it a lot. I also liked the family drama aspect that we got in Jade City. It's very much a generational fantasy where you're looking at generations of particularly the No Peak clan, which is the main clan in this book, versus the Mountain clan. But No Peak, we've got the grandfather with values, we've got an older brother figure, and then we've got, people that branch out from there, and you can see the different generations, you can see their way of thinking, and then it's just really cool. It's a really cool sort of political family drama. I hear going into Jade City and Jade Legacy, these books get better, and I'm really excited to pick up Jade War, and I'm really excited to pick up Jade War this month. That will be my next audiobook after I finish The Girl Who Played with Fire. The next book that I picked up this month and completed was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. This is book 1 in the Millennium Trilogy, or technically there's 4 books, we'll call it a trilogy. I think I've talked about this one a lot on the channel so far. So it's following Mikhail Blomkvist and Lisbeth Salander as they try to uncover a 36-year-old mystery. Well, they try to find out what happened to a particular family member of Heinrich Wanger. And yeah, I really liked it. Very old school PI novel feel to it. And I gave this one, I think, 4.5. It lost a couple of points for me just because they talk about coffee so much. And I was like, okay, we get it. You're all caffeine addicts. Let's move on. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Really thought that was a great book. Hello, editing Chris here. I forgot to mention that I also did a beta read in the month of February for João Fernandes Silva for his book that's hopefully coming out in the next little bit called The Seeds of War. I can't tell you too much about it because it was a beta read, but it was really cool, and I'm going to pop his Instagram down below if you want to check out and follow along with his process and his progress of his work. I really liked it. 3-person POV book, very different lives. They all come together in a very clear way, and it was really cool. Yeah, check them out. The next one I read was an e-arc off NetGalley, and it was called Silkfire by Zabay Allure. You are going to hear a ranty review from me later this week about this one. I did not enjoy Silkfire. Basically, I had so many issues with this book. It's a political fueled family drama, essentially, and there's so many little spatterings of fantastical elements throughout the book, and it was too much too soon. The next one I picked up was, maybe I'll stop talking about it now because I've finally read it, The Heart of the Bloodstone by Felina Wood. So we follow three main characters, or three main POVs in this one. I'd classify The Heart of the Bloodstone as an adventure / quest fantasy. You know, we're going for a specific purpose to do something. So we've got Avalon, who's a frustrated hunter. He feels like he's being caged within Hydrus, which is where we sort of start out and come back to in this book, by the chief, who's quite tyrannical and seems to be putting a lot of limitations on the people of Hydrus. So Avalon's like, don't like that, want to free the people, want to get some semblance of our life back. And then we also have Boren, who is basically an exile, who has come back after 6 years to try and prove his innocence. And we have a young lass by the name of Lucia, who wants to know more about her bloodstone. I do have a full review coming out for this one next week, so I don't want to go too much into detail. This was a little bit softer than what I generally read. I normally pick up grimdark fantasy, to be perfectly honest, but it was a lovely change of pace for me, and I really liked the world we're in, and I do think the magic system is quite unique, so I ended up giving this one a 4-star as well. The next thing I read was Nana by Mark Taus. This is a abstract horror novella to do with old people, as you might have guessed by the title. This was messed up. This was not the most messed up thing that I've ever read. That would be Chandler Wilson's Dead Inside. Don't read that. But it was pretty messed up. Nana was a story basically about a 12-year-old boy who has to go and spend the night with his Nana while his parents work out some stuff. And Nana is a little bit nuts, and things just unravel from there. So Nana takes him to a talent show where there's some casual blood sacrifices, some very obscure talents from the old people of Newcrest Haven, and they've just got some unconventional pastimes. And if you aren't afraid of body horror and explicit sexual content with the elderly, then it's weird, but it's good. So those two things, you might be like, oh, don't want any of that in my life, but it fits the story. It was done well. I really enjoyed it, but I love weird horror, so maybe that's me. But if it sounds like something you want to pick up, I picked it up for a couple of bucks on Kindle and had a good time with it. You'll read it in a couple of hours. The last book that I read was, and this one's glary in the ring light, The Soul's Aspect by Mark Holloway. So this was going to be my March indie pick of the month, but I ended up having some time, and I started this one on audio and then finished it on physical. Both formats are excellent. The narrator did a very good job, and it read quite well physically as well. This is following 16-year-old Kellum. He is an apprentice to his father, who is a healer for a town where not a lot happens and there's not a lot of prospects for them. Kellum starts asking some questions about the aspect, and his dad's like, we don't want to know about them. And then because Kellum is 16, he goes and finds out about it anyway. And it's basically following his journey of the aspect. There's a magic school involved. If you like coming of age, magic schools, this is a good, easy fantasy to pick up. I gave this one a 3.75, just because I had some issues with the main character and, needing a bit of a backbone. But look, he's a 16-year-old kid who's been pretty sheltered, so you have to remember that going in. I really liked it, very solid debut, and am looking forward to the next one in this series. I will have a full review for this one up next week as well. Those are all the books that I read in February. What did you pick up? What was your favourite? Let me know down below. If you like the content, do one of these. If you want to subscribe, do so at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.